The American flag waved over a country split in two. Fireworks lit up the night sky, showing both the joy and worry of the American people. Donald J. Trump, surprising many experts, had won the presidency again. His win showed the strong pull of his populist message and changed the American political scene, causing uncertainty around the world. This was very different from the sad mood at Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters. The Democratic nominee, with a heavy heart, admitted defeat. It was hard for the Democrats to accept, as they had hoped for a new era of progressive leadership. The dream of a more inclusive and fair America, for now, was out of reach. Trump's victory was not a result of a sudden surge in popularity. It was the culmination of a meticulously crafted campaign that tapped into the anxieties and aspirations of a substantial portion of the American electorate. His core base, energized by his fiery rhetoric and promises to restore American greatness, remained unwavering in their support. Trump effectively exploited the economic anxieties of the working class, who felt left behind by globalization and technological advancements. He expertly played on fears of cultural change, positioning himself as the defender of traditional values against what he perceived as the encroachment of liberal ideologies. His message resonated deeply with those who felt ignored or marginalized by the political establishment. The transition from a Biden administration to a second Trump term promised a stark reversal in policy direction. Biden's progressive agenda, encompassing ambitious plans for climate change mitigation, healthcare expansion, and social justice reform, faced an uncertain future. Trump, a staunch conservative, had made it abundantly clear that he intended to dismantle many of his predecessor's signature achievements. The Affordable Care Act, a cornerstone of Biden's legacy, was once again in jeopardy. Trump had repeatedly vowed to repeal and replace the landmark healthcare law, despite lacking a concrete alternative. Environmental regulations, painstakingly implemented to combat climate change, were likely to be rolled back, reflecting Trump's skepticism of climate science and his prioritization of economic growth over environmental protection. Section 4, Energy Independence. Fueling America, Igniting Debate. The quest for energy independence has long been a cornerstone of American policy, a goal that has seen various administrations take different approaches to secure the nation's energy future. Trump's energy policy centered around a single potent phrase: energy independence. This concept was not just a policy, but a rallying cry for many who believed that America's strength lay in its ability to produce its own energy. He envisioned an America freed from the shackles of reliance on foreign oil, a vision he planned to realize through the aggressive expansion of domestic oil and gas production. This vision included opening up federal lands for drilling, reducing regulations that hindered energy production, and investing in infrastructure to support the energy sector. The Keystone XL pipeline, a project mired in controversy and ultimately rejected by the Biden administration, was poised for resurrection, a potent symbol of Trump's commitment to unleashing America's energy potential. The pipeline was seen by supporters as a critical piece of infrastructure that would create jobs, lower energy costs, and strengthen national security. While Trump's energy plans were met with enthusiasm by the energy sector and those eager for energy independence, the promise of economic growth and job creation resonated deeply with many Americans, particularly in regions heavily reliant on the energy industry. They sparked alarm among environmentalists and scientists. Critics argued that the focus on fossil fuels was a step backward in the fight against climate change, pointing to the long-term environmental costs and the need for a transition to renewable energy sources. They argued that the pursuit of fossil fuels would exacerbate climate change, jeopardizing the planet's future for short-term economic gains. The environmental impact of increased drilling and pipeline construction, including the risk of oil spills and habitat destruction, was a significant concern. The debate over energy policy, a microcosm of the larger ideological divide in American society, was reignited with renewed fervor. This debate highlighted the complex balance between economic development and environmental stewardship, a balance that continues to challenge policymakers and the public alike. As America moves forward, the question remains: can the nation achieve energy independence without compromising its environmental responsibilities? The answer to this question will shape the future of America's energy landscape and its role in the global effort to combat climate change. Section 5, America First, again, navigating the global chessboard. In the realm of foreign policy, Trump's victory heralded a return to his signature America First doctrine. This doctrine, which had been a cornerstone of his first term, emphasized the need to prioritize American interests in every international engagement. It was a call to reassert American dominance and ensure that the United States would no longer be taken advantage of on the global stage. This approach, characterized by a skepticism of multilateralism and a prioritization of American interests above all else, had sent shockwaves through the international community during his first term. Trump's disdain for international alliances and agreements was evident, as he often criticized organizations like NATO and the United Nations for not serving American interests adequately. Allies and adversaries alike braced themselves for a new era of unpredictable American foreign policy. Traditional allies, who had grown accustomed to a more collaborative approach, found themselves navigating a new reality where American support could no longer be taken for granted. Meanwhile, adversaries were wary of Trump's unpredictable nature, unsure of how to respond to his often provocative statements and actions. Trump's relationship with China, a defining feature of his foreign policy, was likely to remain fraught with tension. Trade wars, technological competition, and accusations of unfair trade practices had strained relations between the two superpowers. The economic tit-for-tat had far-reaching implications, affecting global supply chains and market stability. And accusations of unfair trade practices had strained relations between the two superpowers. The trade war, marked by tariffs and counter-tariffs, had not only impacted the economies of both nations, but also had ripple effects across the globe. Businesses and consumers felt the pinch as prices fluctuated and uncertainty loomed. The potential for escalation loomed large, casting a shadow over the global economy. Economists and analysts watched closely, predicting that any further deterioration in U.S.-China relations could lead to significant disruptions in global trade and economic growth. The stakes were high, and the world held its breath, hoping for a resolution that would stabilize the situation. Iran, another target of Trump's ire, faced the prospect of renewed pressure and sanctions as Trump sought to dismantle the nuclear deal negotiated by the Biden administration. The reimposition of sanctions was aimed at crippling Iran's economy and forcing it to renegotiate terms more favorable to the United States. This hardline stance was met with resistance from Iran and concern from other signatories of the deal, who feared it could lead to increased tensions in the Middle East. The Middle East, already a volatile region, braced for the impact of Trump's policies. The potential for conflict and instability was high, with many worried that the situation could spiral out of control. As Trump navigated the global chessboard, the world watched closely, uncertain of what moves he would make next and how they would reshape the international landscape. Section 6. Economic aftershocks, tax cuts, deregulation, and the uncertain future. Trump's economic policies were a continuation of his first-term agenda: tax cuts, deregulation, and a focus on boosting American businesses. These policies were designed to reduce the burden on corporations and individuals, with the hope that the savings would be reinvested into the economy. By cutting taxes, Trump aimed to increase disposable income for both businesses and consumers, thereby stimulating economic activity. He argued that these measures would unleash economic growth, creating jobs and prosperity for all Americans. The administration believed that deregulation would remove unnecessary barriers, allowing businesses to operate more freely and efficiently. This, in turn, was expected to lead to innovation, expansion, and a more competitive market environment. Critics, however, pointed to the ballooning national debt and argued that his policies primarily benefited the wealthy at the expense of the middle class and the poor. They contended that the tax cuts disproportionately favored the rich, leading to greater income inequality. Additionally, the reduction in government revenue raised concerns about the sustainability of public services and social programs. The contrast with Biden's economic vision was stark. Biden's approach was rooted in the belief that a fairer tax system and increased government intervention were necessary to address systemic inequalities and ensure long-term economic stability. Biden had advocated for increased taxes on corporations and high-income earners, arguing that the wealthy should pay their fair share to fund social programs and investments in infrastructure and education. His plan aimed to redistribute wealth more equitably and provide the necessary resources for public goods that benefit society as a whole. He had also promised strict regulations on Wall Street and a more proactive approach to addressing income inequality. Biden's policies were designed to prevent financial crises and protect consumers, ensuring that the financial sector operated in a manner that supported the broader economy. Trump's victory signaled a rejection of this vision, leaving many wondering about the long-term consequences of his economic policies. The debate over the effectiveness of tax cuts and deregulation versus increased taxation and regulation continues to be a contentious issue. As the nation moves forward, the impact of these policies on economic growth, income distribution, and social welfare remains uncertain, with both sides presenting compelling arguments for their respective approaches. What are your views? Please write down on the comments below, and like and subscribe our channel for more videos.